From athletes to authors, entertainers to innovators, we connect with those who help shape our culture. Join us in revealing stories of their lives and backgrounds, their triumphs and tragedies that molded them into who they are today. Authentically off-script and personally illuminating, this is Audibles with Jason Scarborough. This week on Audibles, Chip Henderson.
So Winona, Mississippi, that's where it all started for you. Born in Winona, but you kind of moved around a lot early on. So how would you frame up that early part of your life?
You know, a little bit of a nomad, man. People ask me where I'm from. I'm like, I have no idea. You know what? My family lived in Carrollton. No hospital in Carrollton. If you guys ever been to Carrollton, you'll know that there isn't any place. So we had to drive across the county line into what big metropolis of Winona for Tyler Holmes Hospital. But born there, my dad's a pastor, so it's kind of like being in the military. You know, we just moved a lot. And so, man, I've lived Carrollton, Sunflower, over in the Delta, New Orleans, Baton Rouge before I was, 5 years old, and then was in Baton Rouge for a few years, then Columbus, back to Greenville in the Delta, and then off to college. And so, Jason, it's been a little bit of a ride.
So how would you describe your relationship? Because you come from a somewhat big family, so how would you describe your relationship with your siblings growing up?
Yeah. Come from a family with, growing up, I had 3 older sisters. When I was 13, my parents had an look what happened baby. And so my youngest sister is Hope. She's 13 years younger than me. But I grew up with 3 older sisters, and man, my growing up relationship with them was, man, we loved each other and hated each other. You know, we would fight and fuss like everybody, but also just loved each other. And so, man, it was a great time. I grew up probably like you grew up, like your listeners grew up, man. We thought life was normal. And so that's what it was. And so it was just a sweet family.
So you grew up as a PK. For those that don't know, that's an affectionate term for pastor's kid or preacher's kid. Do you think that growing up as a PK, do you think maybe there were some early seeds planted that maybe led to maybe what you're doing now, or did you ever have an inkling, that's not what I'm going to do? Both parts of that question. No doubt seeds had to be planted. I mean, my mom and dad, very, very spiritual people. And so, man, that's the one thing I love about my parents is, a lot of examples out there, but my parents were what you see is what you get. Man, there was no duplicity. There was one way when they're in public, another way behind closed doors. Man, they were very spiritually centered people in Jesus. And so, yes, that impacted my life. Nobody's impacted my life more. Did I ever think I would be a preacher? I went to college. I went to Mississippi State to be an orthodontist. And thought, man, look, I'll make plenty of money, never be on call. This will be amazing. And really would have done that if in my freshman chemistry class, the guy sitting one row in front of me and one seat over, if he'd have been smarter, we'd have both probably passed because he wasn't. Man, I wasn't very studious and just quite honestly, man, wasn't really walking even spiritually at that time. A lot of duplicity in my life and man, just wasn't applying myself. And so, that just didn't work out. I just couldn't pass chemistry. And but God was way ahead of me. And I'm thankful. You can look back and you just go, man, God's way smarter than me. Chip Henderson, as a child, how would you describe yourself as a child growing up?
Probably really spoiled. Again, I'm raised by, 4 mamas, really, 3 older sisters, and then my mom. My dad was in school when I was a real young kid, so he was gone a lot. But when he was present, very present. But man, I would say I was probably spoiled a lot. In some ways, I was probably a Sunday school teacher's nightmare, because I knew that Bible stories, come on, these things are implanted in me. So, I'd be cutting up in Sunday school and they would ask me a question trying to catch me off guard and I could just spit it back out, So it just sucks for the teacher, I hate it. But that was kind of the way it was. But no, man, very blessed growing up. Been blessed with just a great home. Imperfect. Look, everybody's family's got some dysfunction. Mine's got some dysfunction, so I'm not trying to paint that picture at all. But man, just so blessed, so blessed growing up, and grew up playing a lot of sports as a kid, and so God blessed me in that. Gave me decent, a mind. So school came fairly easy. But man, I think just a normal Mississippi, childhood, I would say.
You mentioned sports being, part of your interest growing up, but what other interests did you have when you were growing up?
Growing up, man, basketball, football, baseball. That was back before you had to, specialize and play one sport all year long and break the bank on your parents. You actually had seasons and then a summer where you went to the swimming pool. Loved going swimming, loved playing, bike chase with my friends around the neighborhood. My family, I grew up hunting, man, and I love the outdoors. That's my passion now. I love chasing, back then, primarily doves and deer, and we go fishing a little bit, but kind of held on to the hunting aspect.
Now, speaking of the hunting aspect, so your dad was telling me a story about when you killed your first deer around 10 years old. Do you remember that story?
I do. I had just gotten out of the hospital, Jason. I don't know if it was, I think it had to have been the day before, because we went hunting that next morning. And my dad and I I was riding on the back of a 3-wheeler. Okay, so this is old school, man. This is a death trap, dude. You probably remember these things, man. You go around the corner too fast, you're going to flip. But we go hunting. He puts me up in this tree that's, just 2x4s nailed to this tree. You climb up in it and you sit on this platform. I'm 10 years old. My mom, if she would have known, would have probably killed him. DHS would probably take me away from my parents today, for doing that kind of stuff. But I'm sitting there. My dad goes probably another 200 or 300 yards away from me, so I'm sitting up there with a rifle. And it started snowing, man. Just snow started falling. I hear some dogs running, and they're chasing a deer. And I hear my dad shoot, so I know it's a buck. And anyway, long story short is this deer comes by me, and I somehow managed to shoot it, and then jumped out of the tree. And probably that was a no too. But man, me and my dad just celebrated that. And just a lot of fun, man. A great memory of me as a little kid holding this 6-point deer up, and all my sister's boyfriends were just totally, pissed at me, mad at me, because I'm 10 years old killing this deer and they can't do it. So yeah, great memory.
Good bonding moment for you and your dad too. Without
100%, man. Yeah, I just learned so much from my dad, and certainly he taught me, preaching in church. But man, my dad modeled for me, Jason. I'm blessed in that way, and man, just for guys out there listening to us right now. Man, it's awesome what you say to your kids. That's great. They need that. Man, the way you live in front of your kids. Come on, that's the loudest message you're teaching right there. And so it was a bonding moment, and there's a couple of traditions around deer hunting. I don't want to gross all your, listeners out, but when a person kills their first deer, you put a little blood on their face, and it's kind of a tradition. But if a person misses a deer, then tradition in hunting camps was you would cut part of their shirt tail off and put it on the wall at the hunting camp. So my dad says, hey, you want to see where you, I made a deal with my dad. I said, look, if you don't put blood on my face, I won't tell anybody you missed. And he's like, deal. And then after we got through kind of cleaning the deer in the woods, he said, you want to see where you hit the deer? I said, yeah. And I leaned over and he just took blood and put it right in my face. And so I reached for my knife and I cut about half his shirt off, standing there. And come to find out, look, we were real poor. It was probably one of his best shirts, but it didn't matter. I whacked that thing. But you talk about bonding, man. We still look back and laugh at that. Your viewers may not find that funny, but it was a great story for us. And yeah, man, that's where my dad and I were connected. Was just doing things like that together, and I got to see that his life matched his message. And man, that's invaluable.
Don't go anywhere. Audibles returns in a moment here on the Spirit Media Network.
During times of uncertainty, it's comforting to know we have a healthcare system in our community that's been committed to supporting us for well over a century. In this current time, we are standing together, and our bond is stronger than ever. KDMC, caring for our community like no one else can.
Hey sports fans, before traveling to your game day destination this football season, be sure to download the M.Traffic app to help you reach the game safely. With just the touch of a finger, you can see road conditions as well as receive traffic alerts along your route. You can even stay up to date with alerts based on your specific route to the game. The M.Traffic app is available free for both Apple and Android devices. For more information, follow @Mississippi DOT on Facebook and Twitter.
At Forest General Hospital, we have the playbook for helping patients every day, every season. Our team is here to ensure patients receive safe and reliable medical care. Our mission and game plan is to do what is best for our patients. Our lineup of skilled healthcare professionals, together with advanced technology and treatment options, set Forest General apart. We are here to help you make winning decisions when it comes to your health. For more information about our services, visit forestgeneral.com.
From tablets to drones, even tractors with their own computers. As a farm family of Mississippi, we use the latest technology to get the most out of our land, growing acres of rice, soybeans, and corn. These digital tools help us map out where to plant and harvest. They manage our farmland from a bird's eye view and even tell us the right amount of water to use.
It's a smarter way to farm, providing for our family and yours, the farm families of Mississippi.
Family owned and operated since 1986, Lakeside Molding has become the trusted source of architectural products throughout the South. They offer fine interior architectural moldings, custom millwork, and cabinet doors designed and handcrafted in Flowwood. Their showroom on Lakeland Drive is stocked with today's most sought-after interior details, including corbels, post, fireplace mantles, bath vanities, mirrors, and much more. Tim Shoemaker and his staff work closely to meet client needs for new construction, restoration, and remodeling projects. Lakeside Molding, where details make the difference.
How local is Bank Plus? We're here, and here. And we're with you here, and here. Wherever, whenever you need us. We make our banking decisions right here because local means more than a location. It means a commitment to deliver more for our customers and our communities. Your bank, your plus. Bank Plus.
Was there ever a moment, any hint that kind of led you to think, all right, maybe I'll be a pastor one day? Was there ever anything along the way that maybe gave you some sort of indication, all right, this might be a possibility, or did that ever happen?
You know, just probably the only thing I could think of is, I don't know if, you know, you guys ever did Youth Sunday at your church, you know, where they took probably the least attended Sunday night of the year and gave it to the students. And I led the sermon on a Sunday night when I was a student, you know, in high school. That would be about the only indication where, man, you know, I thought that went okay. I guess that'd be the best way to say that. Past that, no thought. And even my journey to ultimately sensing this is what God had for me was, man, it was a slow train, a journey of, man, thinking I was going to work with college students, then working with high school kids, and then, you know, slowly easing my way into, man, just teaching, you know, on a weekly basis. But no, growing up, bro, that wasn't on my radar.
Washington High School. So I hear you were in high school pretty good athlete. Playing basketball, playing a little football. What were the high school years like for Chip Henderson?
I was a legend in my own mind. The older I get, the better I was.
Right,
you know,
right.
That goes, your memory's worse. No, you know, I wasn't a great athlete. I was a decent athlete. Could do a lot of things fairly well. Good hand-eye coordination, and so, man, I just loved it. That was an outlet for me. It was, you know, probably a place, honestly, Jason, where I learned leadership. You know, leading guys, honestly, some of them, particularly on the basketball court, when I played public school basketball in Columbus, leading guys who were much better athletes than me, but just needing someone to speak into them. And so that, and then graduated from Washington School in Greenville, and man, it just was a platform for me to make friends and to enjoy life. I loved it, and like I said, you know, it was I wasn't great, but I was good enough to really have fun and get to play, and most of the time stay, you know, either on the field the whole game or, you know, on the court most of the game unless I got in foul trouble or did something stupid. So, but just loved it, man. Loved the camaraderie. I loved the competition. I still have that competitive edge that, man, you know, I like to have scratched at times. So, you know, still try to do that through the years, you know, running, triathlons, different things like that. But just loved it. Absolutely loved sports, and just I think it's valuable. It's not life, but it was fun.
David Culpepper is going to be watching this. He thinks you're a pretty good athlete. I'm just telling you. I know Culpepper is going to be watching later on. So what was it about Mississippi State? So you come out of Washington School. What was it about State that drew you to, as we call it, start Vegas? What was it that drew you there?
Yeah, probably, honestly, the crowd that went. There was no reason. At the time, I was a big Alabama fan. Okay, so I had no affinity for Mississippi State to say, man, I'm a Bulldog at heart, because I wasn't. I became a State fan because that's where, my family's money went, and that's where I was. And so I became a State fan during that time. But really it was my friends, and I mean, it's true. I say this, I've heard this, I say this. You show me your friends, I'll show you your future. And man, my friends impacted my life in that way. And so I wound up at Mississippi State because of, man, one of my best friends was going there, had other friends who were going there. And so that's how I found myself there.
I'm taking a moment because, I go to Pinelake, so I've heard and I enjoy the little jabs at Alabama. You're already laughing, so that shocks me a little bit to hear that you were an Alabama fan.
I know. Well, look here, Jason. Here's the deal, man. Pinelake, it used to be Ole Miss. It was Ole Miss. I would hammer Ole Miss incessantly. Sorry, Rebel fans. But then we started a campus in Oxford, and Hugh Freeze became a friend, and I had to quit. It's bad for attendance if you just keep hammering away. So had to move on to LSU and Alabama. Occasionally, I'll throw in some Tennessee love or Arkansas. Just going around the SEC West is kind of what I'm doing.
I'm still shocked that you're an Alabama fan. Would have never guessed that.
Well, I was an LSU fan because I lived in Baton Rouge.
Right.
And so we had a member of our church. This woman was, Momo Evelyn Black. She was, amazing LSU fan. Go Tigers, everything. She dressed me in purple and gold from the time I was a little bitty kid, so I was a Tiger fan. I went with a guy named Joe Gillis to the Alabama LSU game once over in Tuscaloosa, and LSU was up 28-0 at half, and I was giving him business. Bama came back and scored 42 straight, and Alabama won, and I became an Alabama fan that day.
Don't go anywhere. Audibles returns in a moment here on the Spirit Media Network.
Hello, I'm Gary Jolly from the Tractor Store in Richland. Now's the best time of the year to save more with Mahindra, and it all starts with zero. Pay zero down and 0% interest up to 60 months. That's more for less on many of Mahindra's best-selling models, with tractors that deliver more lift, capacity, fuel efficiency, and built-in weight. So get zero down, 0% interest for up to 60 months on Mahindra, the world's #1 selling tractor, Mahindra, available at the Tractor Store in Richland.
Hey sports fans, this football season, MDOT wants to ensure you get to your game day destination safely. So before you hit the road to watch your favorite team, be sure to download the MDOT Traffic app. The MDOT Traffic app is free for both Apple and Android devices. And remember to drive smart on the way to the game. That means buckling up, obeying the speed limit, and avoiding distracted driving, especially when traveling in work zones. For more information, follow at Mississippi DOT on Facebook and Twitter.
I can totally see us cooking in this kitchen.
I can totally see us cooking like pros with natural gas.
Oh, I would love to soak in that tub.
I'd love to save energy and money with a natural gas water heater.
I can imagine cuddling up in here.
Because natural gas heating keeps the house comfortable when we need it.
We have to get this house.
We have to get natural gas.
We're investing in infrastructure to help bring comfort and savings to you. Visit centerpointenergy.com/natural gas benefits. CenterPoint Energy. Always there.
We hope you're enjoying Audibles with Jason Scarborough. Watch every full, unedited episode via our digital platforms. Download our free Roku TV channel simply by searching for Audibles on your Roku device. Look us up on our YouTube channel too under Spirit Media Network and hit subscribe. And enjoy episodes of Audibles along with our other original content. Bookmark our website at spiritmedianet.com and stay up to date on what's happening on the Spirit Media Network, where we're changing the game.
The COVID vaccines are here. Know the facts.
Get the shot. End the pandemic.
The vaccines are proven safe and effective.
The vaccine does not contain COVID.
Nor will it give you COVID.
Side effects are relatively minor.
Arm pain, fatigue, and low-grade fever.
COVID-19 vaccine protects you
and those you love.
As healthcare workers,
we're setting the example
for our patients and our community.
This is your shot.
Schedule your COVID-19 vaccine today.
All right, so I got to ask, why an orthodontist when you get to, so what was it about wanting to be an orthodontist that It made you want to be an orthodontist.
I think like most people, Jason, thinking about your future, man, what you'd really like to be is have as much money as you can and have as much freedom as you can. And so I never wore braces. Nobody in my family ever wore braces. I mean, that's just God's grace because we couldn't have afforded braces. But for some reason, I just thought an orthodontist would be a cool job, make plenty of money and never on call. And that was it. I knew nothing about it past that, honestly. And again, that's just a 17-year-old kid going to college saying, "Oh yeah, that's what I'll do." But that's why most college kids change their major 5 times because they have no idea what they're going to be when they grow up. And most of us grow up and still have no idea what we're going to be when we grow up. And that's part of the unfolding of God's plan too. And so again, that's I trust the Lord with that. But it just was a random pick.
You'll have to correct me, but I remember listening to several of the series and just listening to you over the years and going to church at Pinelake. And if I remember correctly, you were telling the story about how it was during your time at Mississippi State that God really began to deal with you
100%.
And really started to call you. So how would you frame up that experience when God really started to move on your heart while you were at State?
Easy. Jason, I was a freshman in college, spring break, living with a foot in the world and a foot in the church, if you understand what I'm saying. Man, I go to church on Sunday, but living like hell Monday through Saturday. So there's this duplicity in me. I wanted to go to the beach for spring break, and 2 things were going for a trip. There was a trip from Campus Crusade for Christ going to Daytona Beach, Florida. It was cheap, and there was a senior girl named Lisa Stewart from Philadelphia, Mississippi, who was going, and I'm like, bam, let's go. Sign me up. So I went, honestly, to get close to her, and it was the cheapest way to go to the beach. And so, and again, and I did, there was a spiritual part of me. I did want to know about Christ. And it was at that place where God brought me face to face with the duality in my life, that inconsistency where I'm talking the game, but man, I'm not living it. And it was there that God showed me, man, it's time for you to either, man, be all in with me or not. And so that was it. And so it began a journey then for me to say, okay, God, I'm in. I'm starting to grow. I started to read the Word. A guy was pouring into me and then challenged me to start leading a Bible study with some other guys. And so I led a Bible study with some guys that I knew, some fraternity brothers, and then kind of grew them through, and then got some other guys who were just knuckleheads from the Pike House. I was Sigma Chi, they were Pikes. I started pouring into them. A guy named Daniel Boyd, football player, Mississippi State back in the day. He, Randy Dye, Spence Flackhart, some of those guys. We did a little Bible study, but something was happening. Guys were responding to that. Got to speak at FCA at Mississippi State. So there was just this growing sense that, man, He's putting something in me. And so it was just, again, it was a slow journey. Man, it's the death of your flesh, and still is, over time. And so God just peels that onion a little at a time. Thank God He's patient. Thank God He is gracious and faithful when we're not. But it was just a journey for me. I didn't just pop out and say, man, I'm going to be a preacher, and next day, you're acting like Billy Graham. That ain't it. Man, it's just, man, I'm a dude who just said, all right, God, if you'll have me, here I am, and I want you to have all of me, and some days that's better than others, quite honestly. But out of that growth, man, here I am.
And out of that experience, those seeds are planted, they're watered, and eventually you felt like God was calling you to the ministry. And it was a trip home for Thanksgiving. You told your parents. So what do you remember about that conversation?
So that now I'm into my sophomore year. So this is spring break. It's now 8 months or more later, and I'm like, God, I know I'm not going to be an orthodontist because that dude can't pass chemistry for us. So I know I'm not going to be that. But what am I going to be? And so my roommate, God rest his soul, Mike Galatis, was in. He was in communications, and he wasn't going to class either, but he was making good grades. And I said, well, I think I'll just try that. And so I got into communications as a major. Again, God way ahead of me. But as I'm beginning to sense that, man, something's happening, man, that there's something in me. Maybe I'm supposed to work with college kids. I don't know. God, show me. Give me a sign. Surely we've all said that. God, give me a sign. And so I went home that Thanksgiving for the first time, only time that whole semester. My dad was preaching on the Jews asking Jesus for a sign that He really was who He said He was. And Jesus' response was, you don't need a sign, you just need to have faith in what you've already seen. And I took that as my sign. And I told my mom and dad, man, I think God's called me to ministry. And here I am.
Don't go anywhere. Audibles returns in a moment here on the Spirit Media Network.
Hey sports fans, before traveling to your game day destination this football season, be sure to download the M.Traffic app to help you reach the game safely. With just the touch of a finger, you can see road conditions as well as receive traffic alerts along your route. You can even stay up to date with alerts based on your specific route to the game. The M.Traffic app is available free for both Apple and Android devices. For more information, follow @Mississippi DOT on Facebook and Twitter.
At Forest General Hospital, we have the playbook for helping patients every day, every season. Our team is here to ensure patients receive safe and reliable medical care. Our mission and game plan is to do what is best for our patients. Our lineup of skilled healthcare professionals, together with advanced technology and treatment options, set Forest General apart. We are here to help you make winning decisions when it comes to your health. For more information about our services, visit forestgeneral.com.
This piece of land allows us to grow row after row of corn, cotton, and soybeans. That's why, as a farm family of Mississippi, we do our best to take care of this land. Water conservation, improvements in soil health, and reducing our carbon footprint, all to grow the best products we can. It's just how we do things around here, providing for our family and yours, the farm families of Mississippi.
Family owned and operated since 1986, Lakeside Molding has become the trusted source of architectural products throughout the South. They offer fine interior architectural moldings, custom millwork, and cabinet doors designed and handcrafted in Flowwood. Their showroom on Lakeland Drive is stocked with today's most sought-after interior details, including corbels, post, fireplace mantles, bath vanities, mirrors, and much more. Tim Shoemaker and his staff work closely to meet client needs for new construction, restoration, and remodeling projects. Lakeside Molding, where details make the difference.
How local is Bank Plus? We're here, and here. And we're with you here, and here. Wherever, whenever you need us. We make our banking decisions right here because local means more than a location. It means a commitment to deliver more for our customers and our communities. Your bank, your plus. Bank Plus.
The COVID vaccines are here.
Know the facts.
Get the shot. End the pandemic.
The vaccines are proven safe
And effective.
Vaccine does not contain COVID.
Nor will it give you COVID.
Side effects are relatively minor and include
arm pain, fatigue, and low-grade fever.
The COVID-19 vaccine protects you
and the ones you love.
As healthcare workers, we're setting the example for our patients
and community.
This is your shot. Schedule your COVID-19 vaccine today.
So when you told your mom and dad, I remember your dad telling me he had mixed feelings about what you had told him, simply because, from their life, your life, traveling around, being a pastor, they had gone through some difficult times, he and Miss Dorothy, your mother. Yeah. And so he had mixed feelings. He knew that God was going to use you in a big way, but he had mixed feelings. So did you guys ever discuss that part of it?
Yeah, I think the one thing I do remember my dad saying to me is, Chip, if God will let you do anything else, go do it. Mm-hmm. And that way he wasn't trying to be mean, he wasn't trying to talk me out of it, but what he knew and understood is that because there's a target on your back from the enemy, because there's a lot of giving that takes place in this journey, because people are imperfect and hurting and wounded, and they can hurt back, and he'd experienced that. If you don't have a clear sense that God called you to this, your calling is what sustains you. Mm-hmm. Your calling from God, your commission from God is many times the only thing that keeps you in the fight. And that's what he was trying to say to me, and so honestly, it was the best advice, most loving parental, advice in terms of pastoring that he could have given me, was to make sure that this is God's call, not my call, your call, somebody else's call. This is God's call.
I remember him telling me too that the first time that he did hear you preach, he said outstanding. I made sure I wrote it down correctly. Outstanding.
Wow.
He said Chip was outstanding, and I knew at that moment God was going to use him in a big way. To hear your dad say that, and for folks in central Mississippi and the state, they know exactly who Pastor Gene Henderson is. A guy that impacted the state, this community for years. Hearing him say that, sure, he's your father, but his stature in the community and the state, for him to say that about you, what did that moment mean to you?
Well, my dad's the best preacher I know, and man, he is the one who modeled for me what it looks like. And look, my dad would preach, 4 sermons in one. I mean, he just that much content, that deep, that much of a Bible teacher. And so, man, for him to, affirm that, man, it means everything. I mean, your father's words anyway would mean that much. And there's a power in a father's words. But for him to affirm that and to genuinely mean that, man, it just lets you know, man, I think I can do this.
So you finished at Mississippi State, on to seminary, and I had heard in another interview or somewhere that you said that you were writing a paper on Paul's use of athletic imagery in the Bible. Do you think that your days of being, as you said, a legend in your own mind, or being an athlete and having that love for athletics, do you think that kind of helped you retain it a little better?
1,000%. That was my PhD dissertation topic. It was a topic that had been written on back in 1960 whatever, but hadn't been updated, through the 90s. And so my major professor said, hey, listen, write on something you enjoy. Don't worry about making a contribution to the New Testament field of study. You'll do that later maybe if that's your desire. Mm-hmm. And so to grind out that kind of work, you just have to do something that you love. I loved athletics, and so I said, bam, there you go. And it was enjoyable and easy for me to then defend what I had written about because I loved it.
Do you ever reflect on the first time that you preached in your first official church, in the first official capacity? Were you nervous? Were you excited? Was it a mixture of both? How often do you reflect on that moment?
I probably don't reflect as much as I need to. I do think back to the first time, I preached at First Baptist Church of Winona, and I was nervous. I still get nervous. I'm nervous today. It's a different nervousness. Back then it was nervous standing in front of people talking. Now it's a nervousness to say, do I have the word that God has for us today? And that's a different kind of nervousness. But then I just look back at the journey and say, God just has slowly grown me. I look back at some of the, I started to say the CRAP, some of the junk I preached back in the day. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I stood up in front of people. And this is what I told them. It was true, but I just, it's just embarrassing. But look, that's part of life, isn't it? That, man, look, you're not where you used to be. You grow. God graciously grows us, and He uses even those days. Man, He used those days to grow me, to grow other people, and so I'm just thankful.
What lessons did you learn in those early years that maybe you still put in practice today? Because, I'm sure you learned a lot from that first year to that second year, third year. What lessons did you learn early on?
Yeah, I don't know, some people may not believe this, but I really don't do anything different sermon prep-wise today at Pine Lake than I did whenever I was at my first pastorate in Tangipahoa, Louisiana, preparing for 22 people. The diligence of studying the text, letting the text begin to speak, and letting the Holy Spirit begin to let the Word talk. Not me saying, hey, this is what I want to preach on. That ain't it. But letting the Word come alive, let the Holy Spirit enliven that Word. Using the training that I got in seminary, that's it. And it's a skill that can be developed, but it's also a mysterious spiritual thing that I think only happens through practice, through learning to hear God's voice, watching what the text is saying, and letting the Word speak. Jason, I don't have any power in my words. God's Word never comes back void. God's Word is sharper than a two-edged sword. And so the goal of a pastor is to take the never-changing Word of God and apply it to ever-changing lives and circumstances. But He can do it. And so people come up to me all the time. Man, you've been bugging my house. I'm like, no, not lately. I haven't, but the Word of God has. And so, and it is a skill, and I thank God, He's gifted me, and I have to acknowledge that is a gift. I have to steward the gift, but it's a gift that He has given me to be able to look at the text and hear that, and then say, okay, this is what that looks like in Mississippi. This is what it looks like in the, in the life of, dude working at Blue Cross Blue Shield or St. Dominic's or Merit Health or, for the college or college kids. You just reflect back on your experience. How does this word apply? And then you try to bring that to life. That's what my seminary professor taught me is, man, don't be preaching way up here. Ain't nobody gonna get that. What his word was, you got to put the food down there where the cows can eat it. Man, you need to teach to so that kids can understand it. And that needs to have enough depth that guys like you, folks who, man, have been at this for a long time, are still challenged by. And that's part of the challenge, and yet the skill of learning over time is how to do both. You don't ever do both perfectly. You'll never give everything in one message. But over time, a steady diet of the Word of God changes people's lives.
Don't go anywhere. Audibles returns in a moment here on the Spirit Media Network.
Hello, I'm Gary Jolly from the Tractor Store in Richland. Now's the best time of the year to save more with Mahindra, and it all starts with zero. Pay zero down and 0% interest up to 60 months. That's more for less on many of Mahindra's best-selling models, with tractors that deliver more lift, capacity, fuel efficiency, and built-in weight. So get zero down, 0% interest for up to 60 months on Mahindra, the world's #1 selling tractor, Mahindra, available at the Tractor Store in Richland.
Hey sports fans, this football season, MDOT wants to ensure you get to your game day destination safely. So before you hit the road to watch your favorite team, be sure to download the MDOT Traffic app. The MDOT Traffic app is free for both Apple and Android devices. And remember to drive smart on the way to the game. That means buckling up, obeying the speed limit, and avoiding distracted driving, especially when traveling in work zones. For more information, follow at Mississippi DOT on Facebook and Twitter.
When it comes to cooking meals, drying clothes, heating water, and my home, nothing beats natural gas from CenterPoint Energy. It's my most affordable energy option. It costs less to use than electricity, propane, and heating oil. So if you already have natural gas, keep it. If you're replacing an appliance, choose it. Natural gas, your best choice. Safe and affordable, rest assured.
For more on the benefits of a natural gas home, visit centerpointenergy.com/natural gas benefits. CenterPoint Energy, always there.
We hope you're enjoying Audibles with Jason Scarborough. Watch every full, unedited episode via our digital platforms. Download our free Roku TV channel simply by searching for Audibles on your Roku device. Look us up on our YouTube channel too under Spirit Media Network and hit subscribe. And enjoy episodes of Audibles along with our other original content. Bookmark our website at spiritmedianet.com and stay up to date on what's happening on the Spirit Media Network, where we're changing the game.
During times of uncertainty, it's comforting to know we have a healthcare system in our community that's been committed to supporting us for well over a century. In this current time, we are standing together, and our bond is stronger than ever. KDMC, caring for our community like no one else can.
Serving clients in Mississippi and the Deep South, Warren Brothers Media provides endless solutions for you. From wedding videography, social media advertising and promotion, photography, video production, and much more, Zach and Zane Warren walk with you every step of the way to meet your individual need. Contact Warren Brothers Media to get started on your project today by logging on to warrenbrothersmedia.com. Warren Brothers Media. Brothers serving others.
I got to ask, before you came to Pine Lake, did you know anything about them? And what did you know, if anything, before you made that transition?
Yeah, I was in Brookhaven, Mississippi, pastor in Fair River Baptist Church. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. But my dad was pastoring in the Brandon community, and he had told me about Pine Lake, told me about my predecessor, Tommy Politz. And man, my dad really loved the guy, really loved Tommy, man, loved the fact that he had vision for what could be in this community. And so what I knew was that, Tommy was a young leader and good things were happening, but that Pine Lake had a history of, really being a difficult place to pastor was what I'd heard. So that was really it. That was all that I knew.
1999, big year for you. Yeah. You decide to leave a place that meant so much to you in Brookhaven. Pine Lake had only had, I think, like 2 pastors prior to your arrival in the entire history of the church. So you're going to a place that hadn't had a whole lot of change. You're leaving a place that it meant so much to you. How difficult was that decision process?
The hardest part of following the Lord sometimes is leaving people you love. And man, I would never have chosen to leave. But Jason, whenever you know that God's telling you this is the way, it makes it quite easy to know that you're doing what God's telling you to do. And I knew this journey started probably in August of '98. And just in my regular reading of the Word, I was reading through the life of David. Probably by the 1st of October, I knew God was telling me that's the place. Now, they hadn't asked me yet. But as they started getting more serious about me and were calling for interviews, can you come, can you do this? My answer was yes, because I already had a word that this was, from my perspective, this was where God was taking me. And so from that perspective, it was not hard. Even though I didn't know a thing about it, I knew that God was calling, and that was all I needed.
It's a little over a year that you're there, and the growth that you're just experiencing, this exponential growth. And then in November 2000, you guys opened what we now know as the Reservoir Campus, beautiful 150-acre campus there. What was it like to you? I've always wanted to ask you this, for you personally, to walk into that building, walk on that campus, whichever one, for the first time, knowing that, again, going back to Brookhaven, leaving a place that meant so much to you, but experiencing this incredible growth and this journey that God's leading you on. What was it like for you to step into that building?
Well, so true confessions, right? We were at Spillway Road campus, one church, one location, for the first 3 or 4 years that I was there. So, and we went from 2 services to 3 services to 4 services to 5 services a weekend there. So we're in a 600-seat auditorium. I mean, we're just people crammed in. It was crazy and electric. We loved it. When we moved to the new campus in 2003, November, into a 2,200-seat auditorium, it looked like nobody was there. We're rolling around like marbles, and I hated it. Absolutely hated it. I questioned if we'd missed God. Did I make a mistake? Was this wrong? And people just didn't show up. People telling me, no, you open the doors, they're coming, and they didn't. Of course, now what I know is, man, people are deer hunting. They're going to college football. Of course they're not coming. But when we got to the 3rd week of January, people came. And by the time we got to February, we added another service. And so we went from 2 services to 3 services. And it was an incredible ride. But that's not how it started. It started very painfully, quite honest, moving in. Knew that's what God, again, and God confirmed, that's an incredible God story too. Knew that's what God led us to, but boy, were there some real question marks those first couple of months.
Well, in 2006, you opened up another campus, and since then, last time I looked, we're at 5 campuses. I think maybe there might be a 6th campus coming down the road. And now you're the senior pastor over a multi-campus church across the state of Mississippi. Do you ever just sit back and be like, God, I can't believe that I'm on this journey? Do you ever sit back and kind of take a moment to say, I cannot believe, because you look at going back to those talks at Mississippi State and growing up, and now you look at this journey that God's got you on. Do you ever just sit back and go, wow? Oh yeah,
100%. And just for the record, I thought multi-site would never work in Mississippi.
Really? Why?
I was against it. Just because, man, I thought it would work in a bigger city, but I just didn't think the people of Mississippi would go for it. And I was wrong. The way we're doing multi-campus ministry, God somehow through His Spirit works in that for sure. And so here's what I would say about that. Jason, this is the way God has just wired me, right or wrong. I try not to think about what's going on, because one of 2 things would happen. If I were to really think about the way God has blessed the Pinelake family and my life in the midst of this, either my head would get real big, or I'd be crushed under the weight of it, and both of those are disasters. And so I just don't think about it. I'm just a dude, man. I love my wife, I love my kids, I love the people in my life, and I love to deer hunt, I love college sports, I love living in Mississippi. And man, I'm just telling other people, hey man, I'm a beggar telling other beggars where I found bread. Come on, let's go. And man, God's given grace to that.
Don't go anywhere. Audibles returns in a moment here on the Spirit Media Network.
Hey sports fans, before traveling to your game day destination this football season, be sure to download the M.Traffic app to help you reach the game safely. With just the touch of a finger, you can see road conditions as well as receive traffic alerts along your route. You can even stay up to date with alerts based on your specific route to the game. The M.Traffic app is available free for both Apple and Android devices. For more information, follow @Mississippi DOT on Facebook and Twitter.
At Forest General Hospital, we have the playbook for helping patients every day, every season. Our team is here to ensure patients receive safe and reliable medical care. Our mission and game plan is to do what is best for our patients. Our lineup of skilled healthcare professionals, together with advanced technology and treatment options, set Forest General apart. We are here to help you make winning decisions when it comes to your health. For more information about our services, visit forestgeneral.com.
This piece of land allows us to grow row after row of corn, cotton, and soybeans. That's why, as a farm family of Mississippi, we do our best to take care of this land. Water conservation, improvements in soil health, and reducing our carbon footprint, all to grow the best products we can. It's just how we do things around here, providing for our family and yours, the farm families of Mississippi.
Family owned and operated since 1986, Lakeside Molding has become the trusted source of architectural products throughout the South. They offer fine interior architectural moldings, custom millwork, and cabinet doors designed and handcrafted in Flowwood. Their showroom on Lakeland Drive is stocked with today's most sought-after interior details, including corbels, post, fireplace mantles, bath vanities, mirrors, and much more. Tim Shoemaker and his staff work closely to meet client needs for new construction, restoration, and remodeling projects. Lakeside Molding, where details make the difference.
How local is Bank Plus? We're here, and here. And we're with you here, and here. Wherever, whenever you need us. We make our banking decisions right here because local means more than a location. It means a commitment to deliver more for our customers and our communities. Your bank, your plus. Bank Plus.
The COVID vaccines are here. Know the facts.
Get the shot.
End the pandemic.
The vaccines are proven
safe and effective.
The vaccine does not contain COVID.
Nor will it give you COVID.
Side effects are relatively minor.
Arm pain, fatigue, and low-grade fever.
COVID-19 vaccine protects you and those you love.
As healthcare workers,
we're setting the example
for our patients and our community.
This is your shot.
Schedule your COVID-19 vaccine today.
Cannot, nor do I want to think about all the stresses that come with being you. You know, just being Pastor Chip Henderson over all these churches, the responsibilities and everything that comes with it. So how do you manage the stress and everything that comes with, well, being you?
Yeah. I'd say a couple of things. Jason, number one is, man, I have a personal walk with Jesus that keeps me grounded. That's everything. That's the wellspring from which everything flows. And that doesn't change no matter where you are. Secondly, man, I'm married well. And my wife and I have, she's an amazing person. Man, her journey, her story is a whole other thing, but it's our story and just our relationship and the way that's grown and matured through the years. Bro, that keeps me grounded and keeps me happy and joyful, and is my place of peace is at my house with my wife. And then a great team. There's no way that, you know, a person, you know, you can say, hey, Chip, you know, you lead Pine Lake, and that is true to a degree. But Jason, there are literally 100 people, both ministerial staff as well as lay people, 100 or more. It takes a team to do that, and each of us doing our part in the body or the team, that's how that happens. I play my part, I get it, it's a significant part, but I'm not the only part, man. There are a lot of people, and so that divided weight, man, it just makes the journey manageable, but man, it makes it enjoyable, is just knowing that, man, we can go, what's the saying in sports, you want to go fast, go by yourself, but if you want to go far, go as a group. And I think that's true in life. I think it's true for you and me. I think it's true as a church family. Man, you can do a lot by yourself, but you're limited. If you really want to see something happen, man, it's a spiritual principle. You empower others to use their God-given gifts. And man, you don't diminish a bit. God blesses you, blesses them, and we bless each other. And so that's it, dude. That's the way that happens is, man, just working with a team, great wife, great family, love my kids. And then, man, just my personal time with the Lord sustains me.
You knew my next question. I was going to add, behind every great man is a great woman.
Yes.
You and Christy have been together a long time.
31 years.
31 years.
Yep. December 15th is 31 years.
So this journey that you guys have taken together has just been tremendous. I mean, what's that meant to you?
Yeah.
I mean, y'all's relationship. Y'all been through a lot together, and she's your biggest supporter. Yeah. But what's that meant to you?
Well, it's a journey, and it means everything. You know, I'm learning that ministry is to be done, you know, from the unity of marriage. And early on, Jason, I didn't do that. You know, and it was in some ways, and my marriage has been, we would say, good, but my marriage is moving into that great stage. And that early on, we did our life separately together. She had her world, I had my world, and then we had our family world. But for those of your listeners who don't know, man, Christy's had a journey with depression since she was probably 7 years old. And that had, you know, seasons of real darkness followed by, you know, let up, but then it was always there. And then there were some times where just despairing for life. And man, there came a point a couple of years ago where I just told my elders, look, I can't be at church. I've got to be with my wife. And that was a turning point. That was a turning point for us, a turning point for our church, quite honestly, where God just did something, and He's brought healing to her, and that's an amazing story, man. You need to have her on one day. But it's been a journey for us, and it's not her depression, it was our journey. And I had my own stuff that I've had to work through, and it's opened up a whole new, you know, part of me to understand, man, I've got hurts and pains, and man, as great as my family was, man, we still had our dysfunction, and there were things that I learned to cope with, strategize around, vows I made, you know, I can't be wrong, I won't show weakness, I've got to win. All these things that were lies, but lies I believed. And so, man, just to watch her lead me and for us to grow together in love, dude, it's great. Marriage is better, you know, today at 31, and as kind of a popular saying, man, we want to be better at 70. We want our married life to be better at 70 than it was when we got married in 1990.
She has an open invitation, by the way, on the show. Just watching her share her story, it's remarkable, and it's a lot of bravery on her part. So you've got kids that have all excelled at doing different things, and parenting nowadays is, you know, so many people get confused by it. It's such a challenge. What would you say to parents right now that maybe they're still maybe they still got that prodigal son, that prodigal daughter out there, maybe that they haven't come around just yet, they haven't found their way on their journey with God? What would you say to those parents right now?
Say, number one, never give up. God can do anything. He raises the dead. Man, He can turn anybody's life around. He can break those chains. Secondly, I would say start with you. Man, don't ask your child to change before you do. Man, if you want to see God do a deep work in them, let God do a deep work in you. Thirdly, I would say always love them. You may not always be proud of them, but you can always love them. My dad blessed me with that. He said, son, I love you and I'm proud of you, and you can never do anything to make me not love you. He didn't say you can never do anything to make me not proud of you. I'm sure I have. But to love your kids no matter where they are. And then I would say to apologize. If you know there are places where you've wounded your kids, own it. And just say, look, I'm imperfect, and I know I've done this and I've hurt you, and I'm sorry, but I love you and I'm here for you and I'm never leaving you. And then you pray for them. You pray for them, because whenever you pray, God moves. And man, I've just seen it time and again. They may be defenseless, they may be able to resist you, but they're defenseless against your prayers.
Don't go anywhere. Audibles returns in a moment here on the Spirit Media Network.
Hello, I'm Gary Jolly from the Tractor Store in Richland. Now's the best time of the year to save more with Mahindra, and it all starts with zero. Pay zero down and 0% interest up to 60 months. That's more for less on many of Mahindra's best-selling models, with tractors that deliver more lift, capacity, fuel efficiency, and built-in weight. So get zero down, 0% interest for up to 60 months on Mahindra, the world's #1 selling tractor, Mahindra, available at the Tractor Store in Richland.
Hey sports fans, this football season, MDOT wants to ensure you get to your game day destination safely. So before you hit the road to watch your favorite team, be sure to download the MDOT Traffic app. The MDOT Traffic app is free for both Apple and Android devices. And remember to drive smart on the way to the game. That means buckling up, obeying the speed limit, and avoiding distracted driving, especially when traveling in work zones. For more information, follow @Mississippi DOT on Facebook and Twitter.
I can totally see us cooking in this kitchen.
I can totally see us cooking like pros with natural gas.
Oh, I would love to soak in that tub.
I'd love to save energy and money with a natural gas water heater.
I can imagine cuddling up in here.
Because natural gas heating keeps the house comfortable when we need it.
We have to get this house.
We have to get natural gas.
We're investing in infrastructure to help bring comfort and savings to you. Visit centerpointenergy.com/natural gas benefits. CenterPoint Energy, always there.
We hope you're enjoying Audibles with Jason Scarborough. Watch every full, unedited episode via our digital platforms. Download our free Roku TV channel simply by searching for Audibles on your Roku device. Look us up on our YouTube channel too under Spirit Media Network and hit subscribe. And enjoy episodes of Audibles along with our other original content. Bookmark our website at spiritmedianet.com and stay up to date on what's happening on the Spirit Media Network, where we're changing the game.
The COVID vaccines are here.
Know the facts.
Get the shot.
End the pandemic.
The vaccines are proven safe
and effective.
Vaccine does not contain COVID,
nor will it give you COVID.
Side effects are relatively minor and include
arm pain, fatigue, and low-grade fever.
The COVID-19 vaccine protects you
and the ones you love.
As healthcare workers, we're setting the example for our patients
and community.
This is your shot.
Schedule your COVID-19 vaccine today.
Serving clients in Mississippi and the Deep South, Warren Brothers Media provides endless solutions for you. From wedding videography, social media advertising and promotion, photography, video production, and much more, Zach and Zane Warren walk with you every step of the way to meet your individual need. Contact Warren Brothers Media to get started on your project today by logging on to warrenbrothersmedia.com. Warren Brothers Media. Brothers serving others.
Your preaching style is so unique. I so enjoy it because it's so real, raw, and just honest. It's very direct, very practical.
Yeah.
Is that kind of how you are in everyday life? What you see in the pulpit? Hey, I'm going to be very direct and practical outside the pulpit too.
Yeah, I think very much so, man. It's just life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the way we do life, and so yeah, I think I'm a practical guy, and I was taught, that man, what good is the word if it's only information? When we preach for transformation, we preach for God to change our lives, and so that's what I want to be about. I don't want to just know stuff. I want to be able to live that out and use it, and so I think my life is like that. Sometimes in all times, man, our preaching is way ahead of my practice, but man, I want my practice to catch up. So yeah, I want to be as practical, as life-oriented as, hey, you can actually use this, Jason. God can change your life, and here's how that can happen. Yes, 100%. Man, I don't preach for the head. I preach for the heart and for transformation.
I got to know what a typical Sunday is like for you, from start to finish, from the time your feet hit the floor in the morning, and you get that first cup of coffee or tea or whatever it is, and until the time your head hits the pillow. It is a full day. So take me through a typical day for you on Sunday.
Yeah, it gets full really before lunch even. So typically I wake up 4:15 a.m. on Sunday mornings, get up, put on my clothes, head to the church, make a pot of coffee, and at that point I'm really editing for content, the message, just trying to make sure that is right and tight. And it makes sense logically. So people ask me, hey, do you ever preach, go preach your sermon in advance? Never do that. Never stand up and preach a message, but I'm preaching it all week in my head. Does this make sense? Is there a better way to say this? Is this the most personal way to say this? Is this the simplest way to say this? That's constant and ongoing. And so I do that until about 7 o'clock. Okay, at 7 a.m. I send the manuscript to all of our campus pastors, all of our production guys. I get in the shower, get cleaned up. About 7:30, go downstairs, get mic'd up, do my highlighting, just for my eye catch, so I can communicate, like I would be looking at you, looking up, but I can quickly find myself in my notes if I need to, so it's color coded. For that, 8 a.m. we start service, and from 8 until about 12:45, I'm either preaching in worship or in between services, ministering with people, talking to people, that kind of thing. About 12:45, leave the church, go have lunch, and either at my mama's house, my house, some restaurant. At 2 o'clock, I'm going to bed. And I don't take a nap, bro. I get down to my drawers and I go to bed. I get under the covers, shut the curtains, I go to bed. And wake up, a couple of hours later, catch the end of NFL, This time of year, quite honestly, I'll go to the woods a lot of time, man. Go jump in a deer stand that's safe and sleep for a few minutes in the stand and then wake up, try to shoot something. But that's it. So, but on typical Sunday, man, I'll sleep for a couple of hours, maybe watch a movie or something like that, and then just kind of hang with my family the rest of the day, and then back to normal routine.
Being well known and a Christian, it's almost like people are waiting for you to say something or do something, to mess up.
Yeah.
Do you feel that sometimes in your role?
Sometimes, but Jason, I've tried real hard to just go ahead and let people know, hey, you ain't gonna have to look real hard to see me screw up, because I do it all the time. So don't be shocked, because I'm fully capable, and I do, and I try to be honest about that. One of my preaching mentors told me, if you get yourself up on a pedestal, people will love you from a distance for a little while, but they'll watch you fall. Mm-hmm. But if you'll stay off that pedestal, man, people will love you up close for a long time. And that resonated with me. I get it. I get my position. But I'm not all that. Dude, I'm telling you, I'm just a normal guy. That God's using me in an extraordinary way. I get it. But I think people in my generation, my dad's generation, would never share weaknesses. Because that went with the deal, and people expected that out of the preacher. And that was an unbelievable weight for preachers back then to carry, because ain't nobody perfect. I think this generation, actually, the more I share about my own struggles and my own journey, I think it actually draws people in, because they're saying, hey, me too. And so I think that's it.
So if we go hop in this is one of their favorite questions, the Warren brothers here producing the show. If we hop in your car, your truck, what are we listening to?
Yeah.
Everybody's got everybody's podcast, music, go to Sirius.
Yep.
What are we listening to if we get in your car right now?
Right now, if you got it in my truck, it would pick up with the podcast I was listening to on Emotionally Healthy Leadership from Pete Scazzaro. I also listen to a podcast called The Place We Find Ourselves with Adam Young, Allender Center. Those really are about emotional health and leadership health. That's in a different lane than anything I was raised knowing. Man, if I put on Pandora, it's either going to be Luke Combs Radio, or I'll have Elevation Worship, and I'll bounce back and forth depending on the mood I'm in. So that's kind of it as far as music and podcast. And man, you'll find a lot of camo and stuff like that in my truck too. A lot of mud right now.
So what do you like at home? I'm just curious, when you're at home, not a Sunday, but just when you're at home, with Christy and your kids are just hanging out with friends. What's Chip like at home?
Yeah.
What do you like?
Well, you probably better ask them that, but I think this is what I'm like. And again, depending on seasons of life, Jason, sometimes I can be preoccupied and not present. I'm just being honest. The closer we get to Sunday, the less present I am, the more preoccupied. When things are weighty at work, I tend to be that way. But normally, man, look, I'm wearing sweatpants or whatever, just like you are, man. We'll go throw some chicken on the grill like anybody else. I'll go shoot my bow, or we'll watch NFL, or we'll hang out and watch a movie at night. We love to do that. So we're a lot like you. We're trying to find the next best Netflix series to watch, or something like that. So it's really not all that different. We love to sit on our porch, my wife and I. And our kids now at this point, they're grown, 25, 22, and 19. Man, we love to sit on our porch and talk and just, connect. And my wife's a great question asker. And so it's great. It's painful sometimes to have to answer those questions, but it just gets you past surface level crap that you're going to talk about, weather, sports, whatever. She really talks about deeper stuff. And so, man, that's just kind of it. We're just normal people hanging out.
Speaking of deeper topics, so when you were growing up, I'm growing up, we hear this, depending on the time that we're in this world, are we closer now than ever to the Lord's return? How close are we?
Oh, dude, the answer is obviously yes, we're closer. And the truth is, Jesus didn't want you to know when. And you ain't really on the planning team for when. You need to be on the welcoming team. Right? You feel me? Right? You ain't on the planning team, you don't know when, and that's what Jesus said. You just be ready. And that's the thing that I would say that, man, my desire is to help you, to help, the brothers here, to help your listeners. Man, Jesus could come for us at any minute. I had a dear friend who's killed in a plane crash over the weekend in South America doing some incredibly good work like that. You don't know. And so, man, that's my heart, is to say, live prepared. Clearly, when you look around, signs are being fulfilled. Jesus could come at any minute and wouldn't have to explain anything to anybody. And so I think that's what we got to do. We got to live with our eyes on on the horizon, knowing that he could come, but trying to bring his kingdom here every day as much as we can by the power of the Spirit in us.
Final question. What would Chip Henderson growing up in parts of Mississippi, Louisiana, moving around all across the South, what would young Chip Henderson think about everything, this journey that God's led you on now? What do you think he would think about this?
Wow. Man, I think it'd be overwhelming, honestly, Jason, to go back to my, 8-year-old self, 13-year-old self. Man, I think it would be a little bit overwhelming, maybe be exciting, but at the same time, man, if you told me, hey, this is what you're going to be doing, I think it'd be overwhelming. I'd really rather go from my 54-year-old self and look back at my 12, 10-year-old self and say, hey, man, love Jesus and love people. That's what's really going to matter in the long run.
Look, I've wanted to do this for a long time. I've wanted to have you as a guest on our show. I can't thank you enough for making time for us and telling your story. I hope we get to do it again.
Thank you. Absolutely. Loved it, Jason. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week for another episode of Audibles with Jason Scarborough.